Welcome to the Yorkton Historic Flour Mill. We're very pleased you want to join us in this 125th anniversary building. It's the oldest brick flour mill in Western Canada constructed of brick material. We're going to go to all three levels, 3 floors, and talk about the different machinery. So the mill is built on gravity. All the grain is taken up and the gravity brings it down, so it's back and forth. So these little buckets were initially made of metal and now they're plastic, been modernized, takes the grain up and gravity brings it down through chutes. So we're going to go and see the rest of the mill. We're able to find some contractors who worked on the mill, stabilize it, to repoint the bricks outside, structural engineers to go through to make it safe to come inside, reviving and stabilizing the mill and keeping it for generations to come was really important. Our history is important. So this is called a sifter, and there are 4 boxes and they're on a swivel. So when they were all going, the grain would come down in pipes connected to the top of this. The particles would be shifted back and forth, and all the large particles will be taken out and refined. And then it went down those pipes into the roller mills. And what was neat was, once it did that, it would come back up again and go through several times. The sifters are designed like this, and this shows you an example of how fine it was. All the large particles would go to the side and be discarded. So that's multi-layers of these sifters in there. This is one of the areas for storing grain. If you notice, all the material is on its side to give extra strength. It was like a grain elevator in those days where it's stacked and nailed this way. So this would be a storage bin that would be used for feeding this. So 2 are connected to each other. So you can imagine when this is running at full steam, there'd be 4 of these moving. And the dust here, as well as the noise and racket, it would be totally amazing to see that. In the early days, this was all done with dowelings and things, holding it so it had the flexibility to move back and forth. But as things broke, they would replace it with modern day cables and things to support it. If you look in here, you'll see how it has a doweling and how it pivots down below there, you'll see. And again, the particles would come out and go down the tubes down into the roller mills. Now this is amazing. This shows you some of the pipes and things that come from the sifters above going down to the lower level. And this was used for adding things such as vitamins and minerals on occasion. It was put in place and they were testing things and going. And in the early days, there was no clamps. So what in fact happened was the millers would come in the morning and find pipes down. So they would chew wheat and make a gum paste, which we put in here to hold these together. Now, as it's modernized, they're using clamps, metal clamps and things. But the early days, it was all done with the gum. And we have stories of some millers who would come and they're quite upset. The last miller hadn't fixed things, and when they left, came back the next morning, half the pipes are down. They spent half that before they get the machinery going again. So it was a very hands-on activity. Lots of lifting of bags, lots of lifting of grain, lots of fixing, repairing all the time. And again, in those days, there was no occupational health and safety. It was wide open. So it is totally amazing that there weren't more accidents. So now we're going down to the lower level, the main floor, which has the 6 roller mills. The late 1800s, this is state of the art. It was brand new. Prior to this, they were using millstones, but the wheat was getting harder and harder and the millstones wouldn't work. This, they can control the consistency and things. If you touch this roller mill, it's quite coarse, and as you work your way down, it gets finer and finer and finer. So each one would come from the top down the grain. They would roll it here, goes to the bottom, goes up the legs, comes down the next one, and so on. So to get the fine flour for making bread, you had to go through all 6 of these mills. So the miller was always sticking his hand into the machine, which is not really safe, and picking out the grain and would start chewing it, checking for moisture content and for granular size. And then as it went through the sifters above, up and down, it would remove some of the bran and that sifters. But you can imagine this thing moving and having this open, so you open it like that and the machinery is going and you're reaching into the machine and you're adjusting this and the belts are here. Like, it would be quite an experience. So millers in those days or employees would have to be very careful. So it's amazing the process of going through all 6 levels to get your flour at the end. So we have 3 types of baggers here. This is the mechanical one where you actually pull it down. So initially this would be up like that. With the weight of the grain, you would push it down like this. And when the bag was full, you'd pull the bag off, and they had a hand sewing machine, so you'd sew it. So that's the older version. It had weights on it and things, and the machinery would go around and it would cut off automatically. When you're lifting up 100-pound bags above your head into a car, a rail car, it's totally amazing. And do you think how strong you're gonna have to be able to do that? I mean, it's just the sheer weight of the bag. This is a more modern one. It was used air pressure. And there was a time when you used to ship flour overseas for the government of Canada. In the last years, they were trying to run organic grain, but there wasn't enough product out there, and that's why the industry kind of collapsed. So you'd fill this bag with air pressure, and the same with this one. It would be the same thing. You'd put a bag over the end, turn it on, you would fill your bag full, and then you shut it off, zip the top, put it on a cart. Somebody would wheel out those doors to a railway car, or this area to a long annex that stored the grain. So those are the 3 versions of bagging. Our last stop is the basement. So this is the main drive shaft, and again, at one time it went through the wall, and the engine that ran it was on the outside of it. It was wood burning, and then it became diesel, and then it was modernized with power. But the story goes, this is the connection. They broke the drive shaft, so they had to take it out and combine it. And this is where a person was standing up higher, caught his jacket on that, and it went around and knocked him unconscious, took his clothes off, and he's lying over there. He survived to tell the story with his socks left on, but there was no protection in those days. And you imagine these belts are going up each floor, and then going up another floor to the top floor to run the machinery. It was all belt driven in those days, prior to the power coming here and so on. And again, this was, you can see how that's coming apart, but initially it was hides of buffalo and things going. So it's quite a machinery, and all different size wheels would have different speeds up above, going through the floorboards and going. If you come to this side, so even when there were craftspeople building these, you'll notice it just wasn't a 6x6 or 8x8. They're all angled. They have curvatures. Like, there was a sense of pride doing it. The foundation is made of field stone, and then the bricks are above that. So that foundation is about this wide. Field stone, and those are all local rocks that were brought in, mortar put on them, and go from there. As of April this year, 2023, we are now a nonprofit status with Revenue Canada for tax receipts. So that was a big move forward. In 1997, the mill became a municipal heritage property as part of the city heritage. So we're now able to raise dollars and fundraise. This is phase 1 of the project. Phase 2 is to build an interpretive station, which will be attached to the mill as an entrance and a community gathering place, as well as it'll have interactive educational displays telling about milling, the family farm, and why agriculture is so important to Saskatchewan. We hope you've enjoyed this brief tour of the Yorkton Flour Mill, which is celebrating 125 years this year. The best place to check out our activities are on the yorktonflourmill.ca, and we have our activities there and our fundraising events. I hope you can join us and see all the machinery inside.
If you have program ideas you'd like to see on MaxTV Local, let us know at SaskTel.com/local.